break in just a minute. Just doing a little transition. Grab your seats, grab your seats, grab your seats.
Now why you wanna go into that pot? Vacancies for me towards you hard up. Chilling me just when I think needed. Drop the whole vibe in the close in the end. Telling me about next man. But next man ain't this nigga went to class. Got your in mind. It's about time that you just saw why. And then it just happened to make it.
All right, if you're ready, can I get a yeah?
Get inside of just.
If you know somebody who's not in here, you better go ahead and send them that text.
I have taken over the stage. Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for being here yesterday's tomorrow. If you're familiar with the Kirk Foundation, say yes. Yes, because that's what this is. But there are so many different sectors here that we have at the Kirk Studio, Kirk Foundation. Yesterday's tomorrow is just a smaller thing in the grand scheme of things, right? So we are here about photography, art, business, entrepreneurship, creativity, all of that. And so with that, Cam created the Omar Mitchell Gallery. If we all are familiar with Chilio, we have to be. He's the OG. He's our OG. And so Cam wanted to create a space that was dedicated to him, that up-and-coming artists, could showcase their work for a quarter. And it's really, really super cool. So that's what we're excited to debut today for you guys. But before we do that, we're going to have a good sit-down talk with the guy himself. So we're going to roll his video so you can learn a little bit more about Fani and the Omar Mitchell Gallery. But we're super excited. So you guys just buckle up, sit down. It's going to be really good, okay? Thank you so much.
Right.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Fani. Some people know me as Fani or Original Fani of Original Fani Design, and I'm presenting art show at the Omar Mitchell Gallery. Now, the name of this show is Link in Bio. I really am into text design, so it's a design I came up with based off of like the algorithm and everything that's been happening. And then I was just like, man, this would be a great name for like a show. My brand, Original Fani Design, started as really started as a blog. Then I started making t-shirts. What I learned in making clothes is that I really like accessories and how they like add to clothing, your outfit. That's kind of like what I would say we're known for, our pattern, our accessories, and then more so like a bandana. And we're here today with Frame Bridge to frame some content I've been creating over the last couple years. The process today was just trying to, again, find like a solid representation of my work. As far as looking at the content creation, it's like, it's cool to look back and say, okay, like even then this was really dope, but then also then you can just see where you kind of like grown. It's like an endless feeling, it's like very like vast, maybe is the word, when looking at this content. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of stuff. That's kind of how I feel. Almost an injustice to try to like squeeze it in. But like I said, I think this is a great representation of like recent times. I think the work I'm cooking right now is from like in the last 2 years. So I do need to spend some more time to try to look for like older content, because I got so much stuff. The second part of like the content creation is like, it's fun, So I think like it's a lot of different emotions, definitely. But again, I'm really just into the fruition of like the idea first and foremost. If I design something on the computer, I'm looking just to see it printed. That made me happy, like when I first get it, It's funny because one of my first actual like t-shirts that I sold was a collaboration I did with Chilio, or Omar Mitchell. Chilio is a very special person, has mentored me at times, showed me a lot of things earlier, and like kicked down a lot of doors for fashion, Atlanta, streetwear. I would say he's before his time, but I mean, this is special. Some people will say like I'm one of his predecessors or something in the city, and that's cool. I had to do this. So yeah. What do I want people to feel? I don't know. I think it's important actually to put some of my work in more of like a art conversation, which kind of is a separate conversation than just streetwear. I think that would be the takeaway. Just looking at my work, looking at artwork. I really was over here like on some like pricey photos that were old. I really like this shot, Carol. I definitely wanted to make sure like I incorporated some photographers from Kirk Studios. This photo I never blew up. Like I don't think it's ever been seen or anything. I thought this like served purpose for like, this type of thing. But like I said, I never blew this photo up. I don't even think I've ever put it out. And I think this shows something like an introduction to like me doing more stuff like this. Yeah, man. When y'all can come check out the rest of these. Shout out Kirk Studios, Frame Bridge, and Omar Mitchell. Chili y'all. Big homie. Appreciate y'all. See y'all there.
Y'all make some noise for the one and only, the original, Fani. Now you better bring that accessory. Don't hit your head. Don't hit your head. Okay. All right. Thank you. Fani, what's poppin'? It's you. I don't know. Check your button. Now, I just got to give it up to the Kirk Studios team for giving Fani the ultimate Lil Baby documentary video right here. I was so immersed in your world. Like, I've known you do a lot of things and you've created a lot of things, but to just go down your list in that short amount of time, I'm like, dang, I remember when I saw you for the first time, not just in person, but your work. And I remember seeing stickers all over Atlanta, and I'm like, who is this F-registered person? I gotta figure it out. And when I finally did, it felt like when I found the Goddess Dope store before there was an address. Y'all remember that? All you knew was there was a billboard, and if you were close to the billboard, it was somewhere near there. And so when I saw you for the first time, I remember being like, oh my God, that's the guy. I gotta know him. We gotta be friends.
Thank you.
Of course. So again, this is a crowd control conversation. And yes, y'all, I got your questions. No, if I don't get to it, that doesn't mean that it sucks. Shelly. But man, so I just want to start at this. There was a moment in the video where you said something about repurposing content. And I feel like, especially in the season I'm in right now, with putting things on Instagram, I'm always like, I got to go take a new picture because I've worn this outfit before, or I've put this picture up and somebody's going to remember I've already used this. So it's kind of like artists, like being a music artist where you hold a song for a long time, right? And then you did I hit a nerve? Oh, dang. Y'all holding on to music. Y'all can't keep it the music. Yeah, you're holding on to these pieces for a while, and now are they coming to life? What's happening?
So I mean, what you guys got a chance to look at is in the visual was pretty much some content that like formerly has always been digital. Because I mean that's pretty much how we display a lot of our artwork these days. Some of the photos you saw like are in the store as well. But a lot of the majority of the pieces that were shown in the video have been released at some point. So it's only like some of the photography I was holding on to, just with respect to the photographers. And I thought this would be a great opportunity to like showcase some images that I haven't shown before. Shout out to eHumans. The one photo I was talking about, I didn't get to name the photographer. You guys check out the show. You guys can check it out as well. But that one photo with the F and the smiley face, Brandon shot, super dope photographer. And yeah, that's just an explanation of that. But I think also in the process, there's a lot of like creation and where you're spending time just trying to make sure things are right. And rolling out any products, it takes proper release.
So I think like often people see things like before they come out, but it's just like that personal versus it's kind of like a behind the scenes. Um, but you see it immediately because it's like it's tangible, you know?
Yeah, this moment is really special for me too because I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and she mentioned as a songwriter that there are certain artists we never hear from, like The Weeknd. I don't think I've ever heard his actual speaking voice. And so to be that girl who's on the hunt to find you and to pick your brain on how original Fani came to be, I think, it's just very special to hear you talk about yourself and the work that you've done,
Thank you.
of course. And so I gotta know, we're in a very unapologetic time right now where they're great living their truest selves. And I love that for us because we're getting to know people at the core of their authenticity. And one of the questions coming from our audience member, where is Zoe M. Thomas? Okay, I don't see her, but it's okay. We can get this question out. How did you find your style without feeling pigeonholed to one thing?
So I think style in actuality is it's like self-expression. So I think like I developed my style like as a teenager, just kind of like a lot of the things I was into, I would look to kind of like imitate these things I was inspired by. So it's like for one, like Cartoon Network, Toonami, anime. That was kind of my introduction to anime. And then like instead of like kind of like I don't spend a lot of time actually watching anime. I did when I was younger, but nowadays I kind of like I think of my style as like how I would look if I was like a cartoon or something. So like that's kind of like how I think about it. Also there's this idea of like in style having something that's routine. So you become known, like the style is to be known for your approach to clothing and fashion. Because this is this idea of self-expression through clothing and actual style. So like a true style speaks to like you finding like maybe these same things in your repertoire or like however you get dressed, like these are things that kind of speak to your style or a signature. But I mean, I found my style through that. And then also too, it's like, I think, you do a lot of digging, you do a lot of like research, looking through history and stuff like that. And I've also found like, I think like late 80s, the late 70s and 80s definitely speaks to me a lot too. Ringer tees, flared pants, and it kind of meshes with my style very well. Even with like the bandana was something that like I was actually wearing a lot before I actually created my own bandana. I was just like exploring that item, like bandanas, several different types. Any brand that had a bandana, I like purchased, and I would just be seeking. But that's like style, or like you love Converse, so you might like have an array of, So I think like that's how you find your style by like it's a part of finding self, But you can take inspiration, and for me, mostly like anime, which we know is from Japan, and then you're brought into Japanese fashion, and I start to explore that as well. So that's where it came from.
That's dope. So I know as creatives, we go through these moments where we're like, okay, I'm drawing a blank. I don't really know where to pull creatively from. And one of the questions we have here is, I'm an aspiring designer with no direction. How are you able to get started? And I know you mentioned Chilio in the video. Chilio came out with this hoodie, y'all, where he's putting people's names on the hoodie. I ain't never had a hoodie with my name on it, but guess who bought it? I did. So those moments like that, stuff like that, that really drew me into him and his work, even after seeing everything that I had seen. But for you, and for the person who's asking, what do you do when you just are drawing a blank or have no direction as to what you're going to do next?
So that's a good question. And I would say that there's a couple things I do. For one, I like since I've been doing my own brand, I've been immersed in like different projects, whether it's like working with a artist who's like a rapper, doing freelance graphic design. So like these things allow you to like be able to like find inspiration in different projects. Sometimes when you get like stuck on one, So I always find myself working on a bunch of different things, but I can like find inspiration in that. Um, Also, let's see. I think another thought on finding inspiration is it goes back to research. And like I take a lot of my inspiration out of like my love for just anything, you know? So it's like I think like, you know, as a designer, it's important that you like study other designers and you kind of like figure out like what you want to do and then like really dig into their stories to figure out how they did what they did. And from there, you'll find a lot of inspiration. And then last but not least, I think like one of the most important things in inspiration is traveling. Um, you know, these days with the internet and stuff, it's kind of easy to like, I mean, you can build a relationship with someone in any country and kind of like start to build and ask them about their culture and stuff. But it's like, it's not for the surface level. Like you really have to dig in to kind of like find this inspiration. But like in traveling and conversations and, you know, seeking people in the common field. But just remember though, like everything is niche too. So it's like, you can't think like even when you speak to streetwear, it's kind of falls in a niche, you know, then you have Japanese streetwear, you have West Coast streetwear, you have occult streetwear, you have all these different things. So it's like really taking the time to like find the niche helps to find the inspiration because like a lot of people do the same things and you can find a lot of repetition, you know, from different brands. Like you can almost expect them to do the same thing, you know? So I think that's very important.
All right, the next question comes from Ty Dennis. Hey Ty, you kind of pressed, dog. I'm not gonna lie. The diamonds is dancing. All right. His question is, how many trial designs did it take to get your staple design?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And yeah, man, it took so let's start. Like I think initially, initially I came up with this original Fani like graphic, which is it's just a flip. It's just like there's a brand called Original Fake, and I literally took the logo and I changed the 2 letters. So that I came up with pretty fast. Um, the O and the F together, it's like it's inspired by like the registered trademark symbol. So it's like that's how I try to use it. It's like a small signature I can put on things. Um, that inspiration came from a bathing ape. I noticed at one point they were just using the registered trademark on items. Like that would be like the logo. And they rounded it a little bit to kind of like mesh with other graphics they had. So I really liked how they were using it. And I was like, wow, I probably could do something similar. And that's why I always speak to like, again, everyone's taking inspiration. This whole idea that there's nothing new under the sun is kind of true. You know, everyone like digs, you know, so after I kind of like found this logo, because the whole thing about the original Fani logo was, you know, I didn't want to like step on anyone's toes or anything. So I kind of like slowly but surely kind of just started like focusing on just the circle symbol logo. And then it came to the pattern. Now I came with the pattern because I knew, like I said, I found this bandana accessories spoke to my style. So I designed a bandana to put the pattern like in the center of a bandana. And it literally took about 3 or 4 years to find someone who could produce it how I wanted it produced in Atlanta, Georgia. Which is like, it goes back to that idea of inspiration and traveling. There are a lot of, you know, you can do anything anywhere, right? But there's a lot of knowledge on how to execute different products in different places because people have been doing it for a long time. So, I mean, the note is like, yes, it took me a while to actually find out how to design the bandana perfectly or to actually have a perfect version of it. And I'm still constantly updating and changing graphics, looking for ways to make them better. And I work with a lot of different graphic designers as well who can like help me, you know, finish what I can. If they have some better things that they can do. It's just like, I think there's this idea of fashion that it's all a collaboration as well, where it's like, you know, you design, you print on this, and you give it to this person to package it. So it's like collaboration is key. But yeah, it took me a while. And if you look at any brand, they're always ever changing. I do think it's important though to like find something and stick with it because it speaks to branding. Um, but yeah, it's like for me, it took probably like 3-4 years, but yeah, it's an ever changing thing. I think you should like look to find something that you're in love with and stick with it. But then, there's nothing wrong with the change.
So I know you remember the Kanye Bowl. Was there a brand that you were just married to before you got into business fashion?
Oh yeah, I think.
And I want you to dress the outfit down. I want to just paint the picture and see you in it right now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think like that's another thing, and everyone who's into clothes can kind of speak to it. It's like you can like grow with your clothes, and you grow with brands. When you were this age, you were into this, and then maybe okay, I'm this age, I'm not into this anymore. The first two brands I would say in streetwear that really kind of caught my attention was LRG and Mark Echo. And like I'm really like again I'm really into like researching and just kind of trying to dig to the bottom of it. I initially had fell in love with Mark Echo's branding. I mean, Mark Echo, if you guys don't know, had a lot of influence in pop culture, not just his brand, but Complex magazine. And also kind of like being a platform for Kanye and all of these guys, Cuddies and everything. But yeah, Mark Echo did a lot of clothing that spoke to like graffiti. And in high school, I was doing a bit of graffiti, bit of like hand styles, LRG as well. They had a lot of messages on their clothes, which like spoke to like being conscious and like being righteous and kind of like in line with Kanye West's early branding, which is all like proactive, pro-thinking, like creative, inspired. So those were kind of like the first two brands that caught my eye in streetwear as like before really listening to music. But then literally one artist, Lupe Fiasco, listening to his music, he introduced me to like every other brand that now. And he's kind of like was pre Kanye West, although Kanye was like kind of like the big star everyone knows, but Lupe was really kind of like, again, right on that anime, Paris fashion, Japanese fashion. So like he's the person who brought me into like my knowledge of streetwear on like a higher level. And the bandana itself came from a brand called Neighborhood, which is a Japanese brand. They were making, I actually have a bandana that was like a collaboration between Neighborhood and Babe. And I just like their presentation. I think another thing is everyone should think about in fashion clothing is just presentation. I think a good example is like, I mean, if you just look at how brands update, Hugo Boss would be a great example of a brand who's like represented itself for like our demographic and use, and it's like they updated, but it's all about the presentation,
Dope. So sometimes I feel like when I'm getting dressed, everybody's like, putting clothes together is so much fun. Yeah, well, if you saw my closets, you would be overwhelmed too. So speaking of closet, the question is, how did the opening of closet push your creativity?
Shout out to first and foremost, shout out to City of Ink. That's a Black-owned tattoo shop that gave me the opportunity to open the space next to them in Castleberry. Shout out to Maya Bailey and Tuki Carter. They're formal Black tattoo artists. So they're really dope. Closet, it came again, it's like an inspiration. And the name of the store comes from Colette, which was a boutique in Paris, which kind of like served this same idea to like, Colette changed every day. Like they changed the store layout every day. So with this concept, I was like, wow, like I would want to do something for brands like myself because, it wasn't so easy to get into like certain boutiques, or I didn't even have the knowledge, or there was no one to teach me. So, Closet, I mean, outside of some of the inspiration that comes out of it is a place where I can like test products. There's a lot of things that I've sold out of the store that I did not put on. There's samples, you know, so it's kind of like that's part of the inspiration in it is that like, you know, we can do what we want there, you know, because if you look through the history of streetwear as well, like a lot of these brands that, you know, they have their own flagship stores or they started as a partnership with several different brands together. So that's kind of like the idea behind it. And yeah, the inspiration pairs.
And even more so, I think the dope part is like you were doing this with peers of yours.
Correct.
And so when we talk about getting your product into even stores or art into galleries and things like that, it's definitely utilizing your network because while everybody might not believe in what we're doing, there is somebody out there who's willing to let you showcase what you've created in the space. So
Correct. I just want to add like the Space Closet is for the city of Atlanta. So it's like, it's definitely like a brand incubator that, you know, we kind of came up with the concept for, but like it's for, you know, different designers, fashion, people at the merchandise to be able to use as a platform. So,
and I feel like transitioning a little bit, fashion is ever changing. We're seeing things come back. You know, everything always spins the block, everything. And so I got this question from a couple of people actually is when you think about fashion and where we are today versus where we were yesterday, what does the future, what does tomorrow look like, let's say 5 years from now for fashion, especially in Atlanta?
well, so I think like the amount of information and knowledge in Atlanta is always growing, you know? So I think fashion is in a great place here. I think it's just like we have to make sure we champion each other a little bit more. Because I've collaborated with a lot of brands locally. I'm big on that. I think like it's important that we get into that. If you look at other cities, like everyone supports and they kind of champion their own brands, and just everyone's too. I mean, hopefully that didn't sound like I'm talking about myself because I'm talking about everyone in the city. It's important that we work together, and that was kind of like the idea behind Closet. Also, too, I mean, with some of the artists we produce, like, you know, Playboy Cardi, Yachty, I think like in Kanye West definitely said it too. We are like sort of a fashion capital where it's like we have the people who are represented in culture. I think it's just again about the information. I'm sorry that my phone's
Don't apologize. It's money calling.
But yeah, I think fashion's headed to a great place in Atlanta. Like the infrastructure is growing, the knowledge of people here is growing. That's important. I mean, there was so many things that people didn't know when I started. I think it's just like the most important thing in the future of Atlanta is like the conversations that people are having, you know, hopefully that people are able to use words that kind of speak to the expression of a brand outside of like five. That's all. So I think it's important for us to be able to really like articulate what we love about brands, you know. But other than that, I think we're headed to a great place. Shout out to Beastroy too. Some guys from Atlanta just did a collab with Givenchy, which is I don't even think any Black designers ever did that in history. So that's really dope. But again, we need to champion ourselves and everyone who's doing it for us.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to drop this mic on y'all because we have the opportunity to tour the gallery with you, correct?
I guess.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry if I said something wrong.
Down.
But yeah, y'all heard all about it, Omar Mitchell Gallery. If you haven't been through it already, Fani, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, I love to sit back. You deserve to sit back on that one.
Thank you.
So in a minute, we are going to do that. As far as questions go, I highly encourage you, Fani. I don't know if you have the time, but if you see him, please shake his man because the contribution, I don't know if people give you your flowers enough, but the contributions you have made in this city from just seeing the O and the F on stickers posted up on getting off the highway on the road sign or whatever, because I've seen a lot of those. Your presence is felt, your presence is known, and for those who don't know it yet, they will very soon. So
Thank you.
you were that guy.
Thank you.
You were him.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So we have now made it to the end of our art portion for the day. All right. We're going to the gallery.
All right, here I come.
We're going to the gallery. So we're also going to flip this room one more time so everybody can exit. After this, we have what? Oh, fashion is next. So if you have the proper wristband, please make sure you stick around. You got a wristband? You got a wristband? You can't get in. You need a wristband. All right, we'll see. Oh, well, few pie. How many of y'all had the lemon pepper wet pizza? Lemon pepper wet. What's that? Yeah, Few Pies is in the building. My brother's in the building. He's in the room next door where you also have your mocktail. Shout out to Our House ATL. Make sure you check that out. I'm telling you right now, you want to get in that line for that pizza.
Am I hosting now?
Because there's always a line.
Am I hosting now?
Yeah, you about to go to the gallery. Oh, wait, can we take a picture first? Just go.